How's it going? I'm Judd Lienhard, speed and performance coach, and today I'm going to take you through a 5-exercise complete leg workout using just one kettlebell. Let's get into it. I'm an enormous fan of kettlebell front swings, and I love to use them at the beginning of my workouts after my movement preps. And I do have other videos available for a complete movement prep if you're interested in that. But I love to start my workouts out with the kettlebell front swing for a lot of reasons. It's a great posterior chain power exercise. It gets your entire body ready to move, and almost everybody can do it. I do have an adaptation I'm going to show you today using a band to add some variable resistance, but you don't need this. It just adds a lot to that movement. So I like to loop the band through the horn of the kettlebell here, or through the handle of the kettlebell rather, to see how it's looped around itself. And then all I do, I don't worry about it being even or anything like that. I just stand on the band and I pick the kettlebell up, and then I can kind of get it even when I'm up there. And then with a kettlebell front swing, you're gonna make sure the ball doesn't go beneath your knees here. You wanna keep it about knee height, and you're gonna hip hinge backwards slowly at first until you start to feel some tension in your glutes and hamstrings, and you don't want a ton of tension in your back. And then you're just gonna explode forward with your hips, sending the ball higher, using more and more hip power as you get warmed up. Good. And if you notice, you want the bell to go behind your hips here, feel a great stretch here, and just use that. And then with these, you do want to use your arms a little bit to pull it a little higher, because that's gonna create an eccentric overload with that band, so you get more from the eccentric of the movement. I love higher reps with these, 12 to 15 rep range. As you can tell, really get your heart rate up. I normally start with 2 or 3 good sets. As far as the weight of the kettlebell goes, forgot to go over that at the beginning of the video. I normally like to pick a kettlebell that's between 20 and 30% of my body weight, because I can do the most exercises effectively with that weight. Let's get into the next exercise. Okay, so generally speaking, unless I'm trying to work around an injury or not feeling great that day, I like to start my workouts off with a good power movement, which was that banded kettlebell front swing. It's also a great way to just get my whole body ready to go. And then next in the order, I normally like to do the most difficult workout or exercise, and these definitely check that box. So these are just kettlebell Bulgarian split squats with a pause at the 90-degree joint angle. And the reason I pause at 90 degrees is that is where the moment arm is the longest. So it's the perpendicular distance between the fulcrum in the direction of the force. And that is where it is the hardest to stop and restart momentum. Okay, but that still lets me get a full range of motion. I'm just gonna pause and have to restart my momentum there every time. So I don't get the benefit of momentum, especially on a concentric. It makes these much, much harder. So I'm gonna use an offhanded hold today. You don't have to do that, but it does work your medial glutes and your obliques a lot more when you do that. I'm gonna be about 1 leg length away from whatever I'm using for a back foot support. Stand up with the kettlebell, get my foot right. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let my back knee go back as my front knee goes forward, keep my knee in line with my toes, so I get 1 good full rep first, and then I go down and I pause right there at 90 degrees and hold. It's good range of motion, pause, finish the rep. That's 1, you're gonna do 6 of these. Pause, full range of motion, pause, all the way up. Pause, full range of motion, pause, all the way up. You wanna pause for at least half a second to a second. Make sure all that momentum is taken out of the system. This is a very common movement in my fitness app. I get a ton of comments after people do this. They can't believe how much more difficult it makes the exercise with the same amount of weight. And if you think about it, you have your partial range of motion people and your full range of motion people. But the problem is, well, there's obvious problems with the partial range of motion people. But the full range of motion people, they never stop the movement or restart the movement at any other range of motion other than at that full range of motion. So all the joint angles in between get the benefit of not having to accelerate, which means change the movement speed on the way down. Accelerate doesn't just mean speeding up, it also means decelerating. Deceleration and acceleration is part of force. And then they always benefit from momentum on the way up. So it's important in all of your lifts, not just these, to, on occasion, stop and restart the range of motion at different joint angles. So it's a little bit of a tangent, but it's why I incorporate these, and I think it's an important one. I'm gonna show you a different way to hold the kettlebell now. It makes these much more difficult. So what you're gonna do, if you're comfortable with kettlebells, you can just do a traditional rack position, but if you're not quite there yet or it's uncomfortable, you can do an offhanded hold. So it's the same thing here. Pause halfway down, full range of motion, pause, up. So it's gonna take a lot more core involvement and require more upright torso, which gets a little bit more quad involvement in there. Pause, all the way up. Great movement, way harder than it looks. That's the second movement in my 5-part kettlebell only leg exercise. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, all of these exercises and several variants of these exercises are found in my fitness app, ingrained into the workouts themselves. I have leg only kettlebell workouts in there. I have a lot of minimal equipment workouts in addition to kettlebell only workouts. And in total, I have 52 weeks of programming, over 16 blocks of training, ranging from tactical to speed focused, to bodybuilding and hypertrophy focused, to blends of everything together. I even have a structure and a recommendation on how best to work your way through those blocks. So if you're interested in trying it, you get a free week, risk-free, and see what it can do for you. Moving on to the third exercise. So far we've done banded kettlebell front swings, 2 to 3 sets of 12 to 20 reps. Get the heart rate up, get prepped, work the power a little bit. Then the second exercise was the kettlebell Bulgarian split squats, using a pause at that 90-degree joint angle to make them harder. At this point in the workout, you're probably getting a little tired because I forgot to say, 2 to 3 sets of 6 to 10 reps on those pause squats. You're not gonna wanna do more than 10. And then the third exercise is a hamstring strengthening exercise. The first one was posterior chain, glutes and hamstrings, but it was mainly based on power. The Bulgarian split squats were a nice balanced leg exercise, but it worked a lot of quads and glutes. This one's gonna focus mostly on the hamstrings, but also get your glutes a little bit. And all it is a kickstand RDL. Now there's a lot of different ways to do a kickstand. One of my favorite is to simply put your back foot up against the wall. I'm using this right here for a nice firm surface, but you can just use a normal wall if you don't care about scuffing the paint on your walls. So I stand up with the kettlebell. I'm about half a leg length away from the wall, so a little bit closer in than when I was doing my Bulgarian split squats. Stand up with it first, and then what you're gonna do is you're gonna have your whole foot against the wall and kind of a lot of weight on that foot to kind of test it out. Then at the very top, see how I come off of the wall with everything except the toe, the ball of my foot right here. Now, as I hip hinge, I'm gonna push my butt backwards, push my foot into the wall, keep a slight knee bend, get a good stretch. And then as I extend my hip and come forward, I take pressure off the wall so it doesn't help me as much at the top, either with assistance or with balance, okay? So as I get lower to the ground and I need a little bit more assistance and balance, I use the wall a little bit more. It also lets me sit back into the wall, and you really start to feel it in your glute when you do that. Good stretch, come back up. Good stretch, come back up. Good stretch, come back up. Oh, I mean, probably did 6 of those, I'm already feeling it. Gonna have a huge left glute today. But one of my all-time favorite glute and hamstring exercises. Don't need a ton of weight for those either. I think this is like an 80-pound kettlebell, and it got me pretty good. Moving on to the fourth exercise. Okay, for those kickstand single leg kettlebell RDLs, you normally want to do 2 to 3 sets. I normally do anywhere from 8 to 12 reps there. So now we're moving on to the fourth exercise in the kettlebell only leg workout. We started out with banded kettlebell front swing, so it's a nice power movement there, 3 sets, 15 to 20 reps. We moved on to the Bulgarian kettlebell split squats, so 2 to 3 sets of that, 6 to 8 reps there, normally 10 if you're really feeling feisty. And then the third one is the kickstand single leg Romanian deadlifts or RDLs, making sure that you push back against the wall for those. So in the fourth exercise here, you've noticed that these have all been sagittal plane movements, so in line, which is great. Most of your exercises can be and should be on the sagittal plane, but you do need to try to at least once a week throw in a frontal plane this way leg movement, so you can work like your adductors and abductors, your internal external rotators, things like that. So a great tool to use for this is a floor slider. Now I bought these specifically for this purpose, but you can go to Home Depot and just get a furniture floor slider. Those work just fine too. These work a little better because they're made for it. Put this on the ground. You don't need to use these. I'll show you a variance here in a minute, but these are a great option. What you do here is you put your toe right in the middle, okay? A lot of people, they like to start here and it just doesn't work out. So just trust me here, the toe goes right in the middle. And then the point here is to try to keep your hip bone stacked over this foot because you're mainly working all the big muscles here, all right, along with your adductor magnus, all right, because this movement is great for your adductor magnus. And then you're just trying to work the adductors mainly on this leg, all the other adductor muscles, but you don't want a lot of pressure on this leg. And if you put too much pressure on it, you're not gonna be able to slide the floor slider. So you start in kind of a B stance position here. You're gonna pick up the kettlebell with the inside hand, and you're gonna try to keep this close to this ankle, and then you're gonna slide out and slightly back, keeping your hip bone stacked here. Get down nice and low, and then pull that floor slider up until you're standing all the way up. See how at the top I'm externally rotated a little bit? I send it out and back, trying to keep my hip bone stacked over that ankle, and I come back up. Now I'm gonna let my hip bone slide this way, and then see how too much weight shifts and I can't get back up. So usually when people don't like these, this is why. Knee stays forward, hip goes back, hip stays stacked over that ankle, nice and low, pull yourself back up. If you don't like to do that, you can just do a traditional Cossack movement here. You can even hold it in the rack position if you want, but I'm gonna hold it low today. And all you do is just transition from one side to another like this. Don't worry too much about keeping that heel on the ground with these. Focus on working your adductors. Nice and slow in a curvilinear range of motion. Normally 6 to 8 reps per side of each exercise. And trust me, especially when done fourth in the order of exercises, these things are a freaking killer. Moving on. Okay, we're moving on to the 5th and final exercise in the kettlebell only leg workout. So far, we've done banded kettlebell front swings, power movement, 3 sets, 15, 20 reps, moved on to the kettlebell Bulgarian split squats with the pause at the 90-degree joint angle. From there, we went on to the kickstand RDLs. And then after that, we went on to a frontal plane movement, the floor slider kettlebell Cossack squats. And I showed you how to do those if you don't have a floor slider. Now we're finishing up the leg workout, which is quad dominant. I will show you a bonus move at the end if you want to get in some knee flexion as well. But we're going to the last movement in our quad dominant leg workout here. And these are Cannonball kettlebell scrubber squats. Now, what I mean by scrubber squats is you're gonna scrub the bottom portion of the range of motion, coming up every 4th to 5th rep. So you can hold the kettlebell however you want. I just kind of like to hold it with the upside down goblet hold here. And then I'm gonna go down, scrub that bottom range of motion, pause, come back up. That's 1 rep. And you're just gonna do 6 reps of that. That's 2, upright torso. So you're really working those muscles from that stretch position. You're gonna feel a great burn. It's a great finisher. You'll get a lot of blood in those quads. It's great for knee and ankle mobility. It's a great way to finish your kettlebell leg workout. And then I'm gonna show you a hamstring movement you can do for some knee flexion real quick if you wanna get a little bit more hamstrings into that. So these are just, I use a lat pull down, but you can use a bench with a barbell behind you and a towel, as long as you load some weight on it as well. And then just finish them up with some bent hip Nordics here. So I normally just do 2 to 3 sets of that, just anywhere from 5 to 8 reps. And that's gonna get that leg flexion piece, which was really the only piece we were missing. If you wanna add in some sissy squats in, that's great too. But you're gonna be pretty smoked after this. And the nature of the movements, since so many of them were unilateral, using pause reps, even though we're only using a 1 kettlebell, which doesn't seem that heavy, it's also a great strength stimulus. But if you liked what you saw here, make sure you like and subscribe. Comment down below if you wanna see material on any other topics. And I am Judd Lienhard, always be an athlete.